And it sounds very simple on the surface.
Okay.
Billy Lanning brought this up yesterday, and I initially said, well, I think this is a pretty obvious answer. But the more we talked it out, the more I said, there might be a little more to this. Who would you rather be? The Niners, who have everything. They're knocking on the door of a championship. They haven't broken through yet. But roster-wise, they have the coach. They have the running back, or at least used to have the running back.
He's over in Germany, which I don't look at as a great sign for him and his knee.
They have the weapons, although Debo banged up, Kittle banged up.
Yep.
You're about to have to pay Brock Purdy through the nose. You have a team that's gotten there but hasn't won. Some bad vibes going into the year. They're 1-2 and dropped a couple of games.
Okay.
Would you rather be the San Francisco 49ers among the odds-on Super Bowl favorites to win it this year? Or would you rather be the New England Patriots, who may have the franchise quarterback, which I think it's safe to say we know, and I like Purdy more than most.
Yeah, I don't.
We know the Niners don't have a franchise quarterback.
No.
They may have a starting quarterback in the NFL, an above-average starting quarterback in the NFL. Who would you rather be, Patriots or Niners?
You know, it's funny because I was with you. You know, you first hear that question, and you're like, well, obviously the Niners. And after thinking about it, it is a little bit closer than you thought, only because if Drake May hits, that is such a huge coup. Like, they could have, in 2 years, the better quarterback. And that's a pretty good place to start. However, San Francisco, I love their willingness to make big trades, to give up first-round picks, to move up. Even though they swung and missed on Trey Lance, I like the aggressiveness.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, they have drafted well, and they just have so much talent that even if they start to lose guys, I kind of have confidence they're going to be able to replace them. Like, they right now have 4 offensive skill position guys outside of Brock Purdy, maybe 5, depending on how you feel about Jennings, that are all better than everybody on the Patriots.
I mean, they have another receiver they took in the first round who got
a
real
shot.
rough off season, and Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah, he might be great. Who knows?
I mean, they could have more on the way, is my point.
Trent Williams, so I don't know how much longer he's going to play is another part of it. And then you have Nick Bosa defensively. You remember they went through that thing, too, where they were drafting and trading defensive linemen, like high defensive linemen, and then you're like, oh, you're going to get rid of him? And they're like, oh, yeah, no, they're fine. Like, they just found another guy. So, yeah, the Trey Lance trade-up and draft swing and a miss is kind of the outlier for them. Like, that was very surprising because most of the moves they have made have been good. I also think Kyle Shanahan gets you into the door. Like, Kyle Shanahan is a great offensive mind. I do think he needs to break through. Like, he's got some of those Andy Reid vibes. Early on, Andy Reid, you were like, his quarterback's throwing up in the huddle. Like, he doesn't understand clock management at the end. Like, Andy Reid, until he finally won it with Mahomes, was viewed as a good coach, high floor, and that's where Shanahan is right now. Shanahan has been responsible for some big choke jobs. So I'm still going to take the Niners in this. I think you are one of the 4 or 5 best teams probably with Kyle Shanahan, and they're just waiting to break through. I do think they have a major decision coming up, whether they want to keep Brock Purdy, and I think pretty clear based on what they did with Trey Lance before, I think they want a better quarterback, even though he seems to be the quarterback whisperer who could probably get good play out of anybody.
I think they're going to keep spinning the dial, and they might pay Purdy, but they might give themselves an out a year or two in, or they might just move him with a first-round pick like the Lions did. You know what I mean? Like, to get out from Jared Goff, they might throw in more.
Wasn't it last
to
year
incentivize it
when they were still interested in Tom Brady?
I'm sorry, like the Rams did. Yes, it was last year.
So, I mean, they're not that committed to Brock Purdy, and if you don't have your quarterback, I just think it's fascinating that Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay could probably take any bum quarterback and get a good season out of it. There's been proof. And yet both were saying, no, we got to trade for Matt Stafford, and we need to trade up and get Trey Lance. Like, that to me is fascinating, because if any two coaches could be arrogant about that position, it's those two, and they're not.
No.
So, and then even, being interested in Tom Brady, those guys want the stud quarterback, and maybe Drake May will be that. We asked the same question before they played the Jets, who would you rather be? And I'm like, well, for the season, the Jets, but for the next 5 years.
So this is the exact way I was just going to ask you. The Niners have to break through and win this year or next.
The clock is ticking on them.
What is their window? Is it a year or two?
Yeah, probably.
Something like that?
Is Purdy up after this year?
Well, but it's not even about Brock Purdy.
No, but I'm just asking. Is he
Deebo Samuel breaking down, Kittle breaking down, McCaffrey might already be broken.
They're hurt all the time.
Okay, they just paid a crap ton of money to Brandon Ayuk. So, what is the Niners' window? I think we need to answer that question before you can say who you'd rather be long term. If you think the Niners have a 5-year window, well, then it's the Niners. But if you think, and I do, the Niners have a year or two and they need to break through and they're on the clock and the window's closing, Well, then I'd rather be the Patriots. I would
Yeah.
rather be the Patriots who, in 5 years, you have a franchise quarterback. In 10 years, you have a franchise quarterback. Hopefully, I would rather be the Patriots in that scenario. So right now, Sunday, of course you'd rather be the Niners.
Oh, yeah.
For all of this year, you'd rather be the Niners. But longer term, going forward, who's in a healthier position? Who is hopefully on the upswing compared to who has already peaked and maybe on the downswing? Pat's greater than Niners in that scenario.
Yeah, right now, I mean, they are, 4 NFC championship games in the last 5 years. And we'll see how this season goes, right? They're off to a 1-2 start. But, Trent Williams, who they signed and was a holdout, and he is like the anchor of that offensive line. He is 36 years old. Like, how much longer is he going to be?
Even still, we're getting names, on defense. Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. Those guys have already started to break down a little bit. Certainly Bosa. Maybe I got to double check Warner. I thought he's had some injuries too, and so it feels like their window's closing, and it's not closed. But they better win this year or next.
Yeah.
Or else they're going to have to do what the Patriots did and reset, I think.
I know.
617-779-7937. Who would you rather be? Sounds simple. Patriots or Niners? But you can answer the question there. Johnny is in Brooklyn. Go ahead, Johnny.
I feel like I'm on Adam Jones' watch right now. Like every time I am tuning in, it's like somebody is pretending to be Adam Jones, and he's coming out with positivity. And I'm like, who is this guy? You'd rather be the Patriot? Like, dude.
So you disagree, Johnny, it sounds like?
Yeah, you'd rather be the Niners.
It's not, not only do I disagree, I'm just like, who am I listening to here? Like, it's supposed to be like, who are you supposed to be? The Patriots or like anybody else in the NFL? And the answer is always anybody else in the NFL because, Jones, you're the Dark Knight. Like, you are the demon.
Well, it's fair, but I also love Drake May.
I was going to say the big Drake May thing. That's the answer
right.
now.
I mean, I like Drake, Johnny, I like Drake May more than Caleb Williams coming in. And I don't know if I feel vindicated in all of that,
TBD.
but I like Drake May the most in this draft. More than anyone.
Well, why?
More than
what? Like, were you a North Carolina fan or something? Like, I haven't. We played. Where'd you get that from? Where's the optimism? I don't even understand that.
Well, I don't get
like,
why you
would.
Why wouldn't you be positive about Drake May?
What?
I mean, everybody falls in love with prospects,
and no, you can't fall in love with prospects.
Why?
Okay, well, what if you fell in love with Jaden
That's the
Daniels?
name of the game. Draft season. If you watch college football or college basketball, you're allowed to fall in love with players and like hope that they're on your team. And then when your team drafts them, if you have really high hopes for them, like that's not crazy.
Can't fall in love with these prospects. What if you like Joe Burrow? What if you like Josh Allen? What if you like Jaden Daniels?
CJ
What if
Stroud.
you like CJ Stroud?
That was a mistake. Can't like those guys.
So like they might suck. That's possible, but the Niners don't have the franchise quarterback. You might.
Yeah.
So it's as simple as that. Is it overly positive? Perhaps.
Hilarious text, and I should have thought of this too. Is we played the Greg Bedard audio where he's like, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, you can't compare them, and Drake May hasn't played much. He goes, Drake May doesn't have enough experience playing, so his solution, play him less.
Don't even
he
think
doesn't
about
have
it.
experience, so sit him down.
Thought police. Wee,
Like, hold on.
wee.
Maybe get him a little bit of the experience.
Yeah,
Nope.
no.
Not today.
Can't give him that.
I didn't even think about it.
617-779-7937. How's about Bob in Londonderry? Go ahead, Bob.
Hey, guy, enjoy the program.
Thank you.
I'm not the biggest sports guy. I watch a lot of stuff because you have to. There's nothing else to watch.
Sure.
But
All right.
like with the
We'll
Patriots,
take it.
I said this almost 3 years ago, maybe 4, that you're not going to see anything ever again. We're going to be old men if we're living to see anything happen positive with the Patriots. And you would just keep mentioning about the 5-year window. I think 5 years from now, I'm not sure you're going to see anything changed. And also, they're in such terrible, terrible condition. If you are a good free agent, even with the money, I don't think anybody's coming to this franchise till further notice.
Okay.
And that's a tall order to fix.
I hear that all the time. Do you agree with that?
No, pay the guys the most money, they'll come here.
I mean, like maybe you really have to go above and beyond, as we learned with Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, you're not a tiebreaker by any means. Like no one's like, "Ooh, I want to play for the Patriots."
But that's a factor in hitting on Drake May. And you're still going to have to pay a lot.
No, so much of this hinges on Drake May. Every answer to all these questions about Drake May.
Guys aren't going to take a discount to play with Drake May.
But who would they take a discount to play with? Maybe Mahomes. But even then, how often do you see that?
Well, and just you don't want to go someplace where you're like, oh, I'm going to go play with Brandon Ayuk, for instance.
Yeah.
I'm going to go play with Jacoby Brissett, and I'm going to catch 500 yards. I'm going to get 500 yards this year. Like, what's that going to do to my future earning potential? Like, what's that going to do to my status on the team? Like, these are things players think about. And so you need to go with at least a functional quarterback and hopefully a good quarterback if you're a skill player. And so I don't fully agree with that. I don't fully subscribe to or agree with the idea that they'll never get free agents. Right now, guys don't look like they want to play here.
Yeah.
But right now, the quarterback's Jacoby Brissett, and it's year one of Gerard Mayo.
No,
and
the players will go
let's
anywhere.
see how it looks with Drake May. I do think you'll be able to get free agents. Kraft may not want to pay him.
No, well, that's it. Yeah.
Let's see that. But he was willing to pay Ayuk. He was willing to at least be in the mix for Ridley. They weren't the highest bid, and Ridley shouldn't have chosen to come here.
No, but I wonder now. I mean,
but Ridley chose Tennessee. That's a horrible spot.
Yeah. Well, he's got Will Levis. No, but like if they were close, and I'm not giving them a lot of credit for this. I'm just saying if they were close to Calvin Ridley and close to Brandon Ayuk, maybe the next guy that comes up, they have an opportunity for it. And I don't think the guy's going to say, no, I'm not going there. They'll go anywhere.
Here's a good one. No one was rushing to go to Houston 2 years ago.
And now they're flooding there.
Diggs was a trade.
They traded for Diggs, but
they brought in a bunch of guys in free agency.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And, but I mean, these guys too, like Brandon Ayuk doesn't have a no trade clause, but they all kind of do. Right, like every guy in a way in football has a no trade clause.
You can hold out.
I'm not going to play.
Yeah, I won't go. I will hold out if you trade me there.
So
Hassan Reddick.
Right.
I mean, the Jets
he
were idiots.
Literally is holding out. But like Steph Diggs went to.
But the Jets were idiots for doing that. But that's the threat. That's the threat to a team where you're like, oh, I won't play if you trade me there. And Hassan Reddick is proof that how faulty that could be if you make the trade anyway. So that is effectively a no trade.
It's easy to forget, but Josh Allen wasn't great right away. And when they traded Steph Diggs to Buffalo, I remember thinking, oh, my God, Steph Diggs is going to kill this guy because he wasn't accurate. You're like, is he going to get the ball enough? And lo and behold, he did. And he made it work in Buffalo for a while. So I think if Drake May hits even a little bit and they're willing to spend money, whether it's free agency or that trade and then big extension, they can get a guy.
Josh Allen, by the way, proving he does not need Steph Diggs, I would say, very safely early on in the year.
But it helped turn him into a great quarterback. Okay, and then he's been able to withstand it since.
Allen, the year before Diggs, just while we're talking it out, had 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, 9 picks. So the numbers skyrocketed when he got Diggs.
Completion percentage? I bet it wasn't great.
It was poor. Yeah, it was 59%.
Yeah, that's low.
You know who his leading receiver was, though?
In Buffalo, let's see.
Prior to Diggs.
John Brown.
It was John Brown. Cole Beasley on the team.
Oh, in your face, Nick.
Cole Beasley, 67 for 778, 6 touchdowns.
Okay.
Smokey John Brown.
Yeah.
72, 10, 60, 6 touchdowns.
Not a great receiving core.
But my point would be a quarterback, that was a 10-win team. A quarterback can elevate that talent.
Yeah.
And that would be your
hope.
Are
you telling me the most important position in sports can help determine wins?
I am.
Okay.
And again, if you want to be the Niners, why haven't they won? I still like that explanation. They have everything.
Well, I'm telling you, I think it's Kyle Shanahan giveth and he taketh away.
Okay.
He's a great coach, but he can't win yet.
Okay, without a quarterback. Because like you brought up Andy Reid, it's a great example.
Andy Reid and Sean McVay. Sean McVay could get there with Goff, but needed Stafford to win it.
Well, and at least Stafford, gray area on the quarterback. I mean, Reid got...
Yeah, he was in a dump franchise. He was good, I think.
Okay, but
whereas Reid went
got
from
an all-time great, is my point.
Yes.
Stafford
he's won multiple times. Yeah. I mean, McVay didn't get an all-time great, and he's won once.
Fair. But, like, Reid's the perfect example. Andy Reid would get you there. He'd crap his pants. His players would crap their pants.
Andy Reid.
He still needed the quarterback.
Yeah.
All these coaches, largely, maybe outside of Joe Gibbs, Parcells, they needed the quarterback.
Yeah.
And
even Gibbs and Parcells, I'll give them all the credit in the world, but that was a different league.
It was a different league.
Like now, I think, really, starting with Brady, there's been a couple of outliers, but really you need the quarterback.
Yeah. And so Shanahan still needs the quarterback. And I don't know, do you think the Niners have the quarterback?
I don't.
So this goes back to who would you rather be, the Niners or the Patriots? The Niners have everything you could want except the quarterback. They still haven't won. The Patriots may have the quarterback.
May. Well done.
M-A-Y-E. How about that?
Perfect.